To promote my new flower shop, I had one place print my business cards, another print my brochures, and a third, my signs. Now my roses aren't red, my violets aren't blue, my geraniums look dead, and I don't know what to do.
Staples can help your business stand out with signs, banners, and brochures that are a true reflection of your company. And now at Staples, spend $50 or more on print and marketing services and get $5 off your next in-store purchase.
Now my business is blossoming, and I'm spending less green.
Exclusions apply. In-store only. Ends 6/23/18.
Blog Talk Radio.
This is GRIFFIN, your host, and I am back from Rolling Hills Asylum, alive. It is 5:01 p.m. on May 26, 2018. This is your Paranormal Puzzle Radio on Intercomm Radio Network, only on Blog Talk Radio. We do have another guest that will be joining us in a few short minutes. I just want to cover a few things real quick. I know everyone has been eager to hear about the experiences of Rolling Hills Asylum. I know we have people who are eager to find out what was captured on video, photographs, and audio for those who attended the event and those who are just curious. If you guys missed out on going to Rolling Hills Asylum, don't worry. We will be going back again this year. It was that good. With that said, just a few things to start off with. I know we talked about the whole date of May 21st. What happened on that day? Honestly, not too much. For those who had been listening to the past two shows, we've been speaking about several prophetic events that were possible or that could possibly happen. And, well, I'm not saying that things didn't happen. We have the whole North Korea and President Trump issue that's going on where they canceled the summit, and allegedly the summit, they're in talks about bringing it back. We have the whole volcanic eruption issue continuing in Hawaii, one of my favorite vacation spots, which is very unfortunate because I really, really wanted to go back. Well, not specifically to the Big Island, but also hearing about the other volcanic eruptions that are possible due to all the earthquakes, and the eruption of this specific volcano could create a chain reaction from what some scientists are saying. Now, we haven't seen too much of that as of this point, obviously, but we're obviously keeping our eyes out. There are several other things that have happened, including a sinkhole that opened up over by the White House, allegedly. Just some things like that. Nothing absolutely insane that I've seen. We continue to see an increase in spiritual activity. Does that have anything to do with what we've discussed? I can't say either way. Now, I did put a post up in Paranormal Puzzle. Going past this part, I mean, I know I didn't talk too much about this. I'll talk more about it in the future with more detail. But I'm really, really, really excited to talk about the Rolling Hills experience. Because, like I said, we had a phenomenal night. We had a total of 9 of us there. 2 of our paranormal team or 2 other members of our UNI research team were there. It was myself, our intuitive consultant, Reggie Glidden, and the head of our science branch, my brother, Jeremy. And let me just say that there was no way to cover everything that we wanted to do. Jeremy and I teamed up, and we're still reviewing everything. We're still going through the rolling out process of what has allegedly been some paranormal, so to speak, activity that was documented. And at this point, we're currently over the 70 incident mark at this point. So basically, we've documented at least, I think I posted about 72 separate unexplained incidents at this point. We're not even done yet. We have at least another 15 hours of review to come. So for those who have been at the event, as I've said, it takes a while to really go through and really analyze everything because, one small mistake, a reputation is ruined. And so we have to make sure before we present any of this stuff that it actually is what we believe it might be at that time. With all the documentation that we've gotten so far and our inevitable return to Rolling Hills Asylum, we have several experiments that we're going to be looking to do that we did not get a chance to do this time around. And it was probably best that it didn't happen this time around. This time around, I mean, the place is huge. The place is just gigantic, and there was so much activity that at times it just seemed like it was almost overwhelming. If you guys do have any questions in regards to Rolling Hills Asylum, our experience there, I mean, we're not going to go into the history of it. For Sharon, the owner of Rolling Hills Asylum, she does a tour. She really gets into it. She was a little, I don't know, she really wanted to tell us so much, but the UNI research policy clearly states that we want to go in pretty much not knowing anything that goes on there. The history is fine. Knowing who is in what location is fine. Learning the names of the people who may be haunting the building is fine. But as for an apparition occurred in such and such a location or voices are heard best here, we don't want to hear any of that. So our tour was shorter than she normally does, and it was you could tell that she was just like it was just crushing on the inside for her because she really wanted to say a lot. Doing these events, we get to learn about each person who's going through them. Whether quote unquote abilities, I refer not to call them abilities because, we're not, from the research at least I've done so far when it comes down to, intuitive, I'm getting away from that whole psychic word. It's completely butchered. And all I think of is a person with a crystal ball sitting on a desk making, hocus pocus noises and such. We're starting to learn who has what type of, let's go with senses. Who can sense what. And we're even starting to talk about some things about electronic voice phenomenons that we didn't quite see before. But I can say for a fact, at least personally, even just the first few hours there, we noticed patterns when it came down to specific activity. And we're going to go into some of those, the specifics of those activities. But before we go any further into our experience at Rolling Hills Asylum, I do want to introduce one of our team members. And again, he leads the science branch. He is extremely, extremely knowledgeable and an awesome person to work with, my brother, Jeremy. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, it's good. My name is Jeremy Griffin. I'm his brother and head of the UNI Research Scientific Branch. Bit of personal background. I've worked with John, obviously, as we've grown up a lot, just doing various working together in the paranormal field off and on, now and again throughout the years growing up. In recent years, I've gotten a lot more into science in general, basically. And so John had reached back out to me after a while of me not doing much of the team, just being busy with life and work in general otherwise, and asked me to be back on the team, basically, and to contribute my scientific knowledge to the team, basically, to apply that to the field. Just because, a lot of people don't always look at things in the paranormal field in traditionally scientific ways. And, basically applying different knowledge in different ways, or thinking of things that people haven't thought of before. There's, potentially new things that we could find out by looking at things in a different light.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know we've been to several haunted locations in the past. I mean, in my personal opinion, when it came down to Rolling Hills Asylum, this was beyond anything that, personally, I've ever experienced.
Right, absolutely. Same.
What was your take on the whole Rolling Hills? I mean, like, let's go, because in the past I've said that, Rolling Hills Asylum is listed as the #1 most haunted place in New York. At the time prior to Rolling Hills, what was your thoughts on, what were you anticipating? What were your thoughts on that statement about being the most haunted?
As for being the most haunted in New York, I know there's several places that claim to be extremely haunted in New York, and that are, for sure, having been around for a while. And going in there, I was definitely anticipating, a fair amount of activity, but it was definitely, by and far away, at least all the places I've been to, the most haunted place I've ever been to. It was harder to be in a spot in there that, something wasn't happening in than in a spot that something was happening in. So it was pretty intense, to say the least.
And what kind of sold you? What sold you on the activity? That really made you say, wow, this place really is. This is legit. This isn't just some, several made up stories where people are walking around and going, you know what, this place is haunted because I heard, a small bang, or I believe I saw a shadow figure. That was, I've heard people that have talked about, well, they felt cold spots, they had their hair stand up and have goosebumps and all that, and that was their activity. What sold you on this one?
What sold me on it personally was probably just during the tour at first. Just walking around. When we first got there, it was still, daylight hours for like another hour and a half, or 2 hours or so before it started getting dark. And so we were walking around in the building and in the daylight. There was no like dark, creepy corners or anything to be had at the time. And even then, every single person there seemed to have experienced several things just walking around casually. I had several experiences, walking around again in with all the doors and windows in the place, all, having daylight shining through. Had several experiences that weren't just like a little bang or like, seeing something out of the corner of my eye. I had pretty, I guess you could say, straightforward, in-face sorts of experiences that, in one case literally popped out right at me.
Yeah.
It's definitely not, it's not one of those places where you go and, just hear like, oh, a bang, and oh my gosh, a bang, what was that? Surely it was a spirit. Nothing as simple as that.
Now, and for those of you who are not a part of the Paranormal Puzzle Facebook group, we did 3 Facebook Lives. Each one was probably about a half hour, if not more or less. If you aren't a part of that Facebook page yet, go to Facebook, type in Paranormal Puzzle, and join. We have, again, 3 live videos where you'll see some of these experiences happen. We even had at one point where we were, you and I, we were standing in the one room, and there was a crash that happened. And I was like, I turned towards the phone because I was walking around with the phone with the live going at the time. I was like, please tell me you guys heard something. And thankfully, I think it was Tom that says, yeah, we heard a crash. I was like completely celebrating. I know someone else, they thought they heard blood, or a voice say blood. I'll be honest, we have not confirmed that yet. I personally did not hear it. I do have to go back to that recording still. We have right now, and we're not even done. We still have 2 more audio files to go through, and we have 54 EVPs, potential EVPs, right now. And Tammy's house doing the training, a combination of 2 days, about an hour and 15 minutes, hour 20 minutes, something like that. We caught 16 EVPs. And when we did the first 43 minutes of reviewing EVPs for Rolling Hills, we had 27. We already beat out the most haunted place that we personally have been to. That says something. So, I mean, I can't say enough about this place. When you were invited to Rolling Hills, to go with us to Rolling Hills, what were you hoping for? What were you hoping to accomplish there?
I mean, when I went there, I mean, personally, I was just hoping to, being that it was kind of a bit sudden for me personally, I was just hoping basically to get some, more than definitive evidence and, basically apply, like your methodologies, as you've, I don't know if you've said before, like what exactly your methodologies are for like getting like good EVPs and whatnot, Class A EVPs and such. But basically like getting to join you for those and help contribute to getting very good good Class A EVPs, see how that works, see if there's anything that can be improved on with that, and overall just definitely get a lot of very solid experiences that, again, not that obviously like bangs and stuff aren't great, and a lot of times when bangs happened, we might not have seen anything right there, but well, pictures and EVPs prove otherwise. They basically just get real solid evidence that's more than just a little clash or bang or all that, and get real solid footage, pictures, audio recordings, and like indisputable kinds, like the kinds that you listen to that, and so like you can't say like, oh yeah, that was just that was just the wind, or that was just like static crackle that you're interpreting as a voice. Like I wanted like something that you can't argue against, basically.
Now I do have to ask you, because you haven't really seen, because I know you've been on and off because you've seen all 3 teams. You were part of the TPO squad, the first one, Paranormal Security Department, and then you and I research. You didn't really get to see or hear about how we get more Class A EVPs or more in general.
Yeah, I mean, you had been working on the theory like in years prior, but it hadn't been built up nearly to the level that it is currently. So yeah.
Now that you've actually seen some of that in action, I know you caught even a few different things, like when you were going through it, you were pointing out things to me going, this might contribute, which I do want to talk about later on in the show about what we've noticed seems to contribute to this stuff.
Absolutely.
What, just from what I showed where we talked about the humidity, the temperature, and then sure enough, we're going through the EVPs and where are they all happening? Do you feel that the theory that I've been working on is actually in the right direction for it?
Absolutely. I mean, being the head of the scientific branch of the UNI research, I mean, looking at this from like looking at your theory from a typically scientific standpoint of just applying like general, like, knowledge of science, and I mean, what you've come up with so far, definitely, I mean, it is, I can say it's basically based in pretty solid thinking, pretty solid science, and principles of it. There's nothing like hocus pocusy about the ideas that you've come up with so far.
Notice you could tell we're brothers now, because he's even bringing up the hocus pocusy stuff, and I've used that on several other shows, not just this show, where I talk about, I'm tired of the whole hocus pocus, it's magic, and it's like, I get really annoyed with that stuff, but it's like, and I know there were more contributing things that you caught on to as we were going through that played its role. It really played a role. Listening to the sound travel and everything was just, we'll leave it at that. We're going to go on a short break. For those who are interested, who have any questions about it, about the experience of Rolling Hills, you can call in at 646-668-8941. Again, that's 646-668-8941. We will be back after this short break. And thank you, Dr. John Foldy. We are back with your Paranormal Puzzle Radio on Intercomm Radio Network, only on Blog Talk Radio. It is 5:23 p.m., May 26, 2018. I'm your host, John Griffin II, and co-hosting with me today is the head of our scientific branch for UNI Research, my brother, Jeremy Griffin. And so, a few things real quick. Actually, we are opening up the phone lines for this entire show. If you have any questions about the Rolling Hills experience, please call in, 646-668-8941, 646-668-8941. I believe we do have a caller with us right now. Hello, 615, you're on the air.
Hey, it's just me. I'm okay. I'm just listening to the show.
Oh, okay. Is this Kathy?
Yes. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How you been?
I'm sitting poolside listening to your show. Yeah.
I know you're on our Facebook page. Did you get a chance to see the live at all?
No, I haven't yet. I've been kind of busy for the last few weeks, so, we need to talk separately, though, sometime.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yes, we definitely do. Okay, I'm going to mute out, and you carry on. You're doing a fine job.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening in, Kathy. Again, if anyone wants to call in any questions, 646-668-8941. Again, 646-668-8941. We talked about and I know some of you guys may be wanting to listen to some of the audio and such. Like I said, we're still currently under review, and the investigation just happened Wednesday into Thursday. We're expediting the process just because I know there's a lot of people who are anxious and are waiting to find out what the results are. And believe me, we're anxious to share them. We're not done, though, and we want to finalize everything and make sure that, we have all our ducks in a row before we present it and go, hey, here's the evidence. And then you find out that one of our EVPs turns out to be one of the investigators walking around. You know, those are things that we really, really, really look into before we release it. And if we're not sure, what we do on our team is we archive it as a just in case. It may or may not be evidence. Who knows? But we want the 100% without a reasonable doubt. It is definitely unexplained phenomenon. It is not one of us. So that's why it takes so long. And on top of that, there's hours upon hours. You have, you know, several recorders going. You have several videos going. Then if something sounds like a specific person, like on a EVP, if it sounds like, one of the people who went with us, Barb, it could sound like her. Well, then we have to go back to the video and try to see, one, did it appear on the video? And that doesn't rule anything out because sometimes it appears on both. They both have audio recorders. But then there's the other aspect. Can we prove with the video that it was Barb or that it was not Barb who said or made the specific noise or spoke specific words or what have you? But I want to go back to one of the things that we did when we were doing the walkthrough. And we noticed something. I noticed something specific, but you noticed something that was very, very, very specific that would lead to even more EVPs. And sure enough, between the two of us, the EVPs where we ended up catching them were exactly where I had noticed some specific things that went along with my theory, but some things that you noticed that adds to that theory. And I just want to, let me start off with, for those who have not listened to past shows or have been to our presentations or anything like that, we have a theory called the thunderstorm effect theory for you and I research. Within that theory, it explains how we can get better communication with the entities. And the main thing we talk about is humidity. During the day, it's harder to get basically sound waves travel in an upwards motion. At night, it's like they travel pretty much towards the cooler area. So at night, they bend down. It's like when you go out and you camp and you're across a lake or what have you, and the lake also plays a part because sound travels better through liquids than it does gases. At nighttime, you can hear flowing conversations. During the day, you may not hear them as much. I mean, there's so many parts to the physics of how sound travels. I mean, there's even points where the sound can miss its intended target and someone could actually hear it from further away, but then the person is closer to you doesn't hear it at all. Really interesting on how all this works. But the thing was that when we went down, the first place we went to was the basement. One of my favorite places. I'm just thinking about, when I told everybody, oh yeah, who wants to go with me? And we had people that are like, yeah, we'll go with you. And then I'm like, I'm going down to the basement first. And they're like, never mind, we're going with the intuitive. I'm like, okay, well, Jeremy, I guess you and I are going. As soon as I walked in and you heard, Sharon speak and then any of us speak, the sound just traveled. I mean, it traveled. And it was just like, oh my goodness, EVPs galore. We're going to capture so much audio, and we have the potential of hearing this with our naked ear, too. As we're continuing down, all we hear is echoing. Sound is just traveling and traveling. But then we get to one area, the kitchen. Now, as I've spoken about in past shows, well, the kitchen and the basement are areas that we usually pick up on more apparitions or objects moving, and especially EVPs. Humidity was crazy down there. But Jeremy caught another unique aspect that played a role. I feel played a role. And I'm going to let Jeremy, I'm not even going to step in on this one. He saw this. I'm going to let him speak on it.
Yeah, thank you. So, basically, I mean, before we had arrived there, and as mentioned before, me having kind of just worked with John on and off again over the years, I hadn't uh, known about what his latest findings were. So, I mean, obviously, being a part of the team again, he had filled me in and shown me a few examples of EVPs that he's gotten in the past recent few years or so with his theory that he's been developing. And so going through Rolling Hills, I was aware of basically what he was looking for, and so basically also started looking for things that I knew might affect EVP quality or getting EVPs at all as well, that weren't already covered under his current ideas. And one of the things I ended up noticing immediately, especially in B in particular, was obviously, as most people know, I'm sure, different materials will have different, sound bounces off different materials in different ways. So while one material, like wood, for example, may not reflect sound back at you very well, another material, like let's say tile, will generally reflect sound back at you better. So one of the things that I pointed out to John was basically just that, while we were downstairs, like for instance, in specifically the morgue, the kitchen, as he mentions, and like one or two other areas, there were tiled floors, tiled walls, etc. And I even showed him, like, once I really noticed and we had walked around a bit and finished the tour, me and him went back out, just the two of us, while the other team was doing a few other things and still preparing. Or the other parts of the team were still preparing, doing other things. Me and John went back out by ourselves, and I showed him. I was like, okay, well, here's what I noticed. Went back down to the Morgan kitchen area, and took a step into the morgue where it has like tiled floors. And I was like, okay, John, come stand here with me, and listen to my voice in here, and just regular speaking volume. It's just like not a really big room, so it's definitely the materials of the room, the walls and the floor that are like reverberating with sound. And I was like, okay, so you hear that, and just literally one step into the room, echo, echo, echo. You take one step out, speak again, and no echo really. So basically there was that effect where I was like, okay, I had John like step out with me, step in with me, and do that like once or twice, and he was basically just like, whoa, like that's crazy. Like literally just like one step is the difference between having like massive sound reverberation versus not, which obviously when looking for EVPs, well, the more that sound is reflected back, towards you, the more likely that something will pick up on it. So I was like, yeah, along with these areas being, a lot of those areas fitting the necessities for necessary requirements for his theory, that was one of the things that I pointed out to him where I was like, okay, well, these areas fit your theory. This also has, fantastic, sound resonance in the area. We definitely want to spend some time in these areas, or a large amount of time in these areas, which we did.
Yeah, we did. And we do have a caller on the line right now. And hello, 518, you're on the air.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey Tom, how you doing?
Hey Tom.
Not too much. Hello, Jeremy. It's been a long time.
Yeah, a long time. How have you been?
Yeah. Never changes. That's for sure. John will tell you. Anyway, I wanted to let you guys know. I don't know if because when I watched the third Facebook Live at the gym the following morning, I actually missed the final one when it was live itself. I don't know if you guys noticed the comment I put in there. don't know if it posted or not. There was you did see that?
Yes.
Okay. Because when I looked at that, at the marks that I said it was at, it somehow looked, I don't know if you guys already reviewed it or not, but to me it looked like there was some kind of humanoid shape on the wall, and knowing that when you guys cast the flashlight from the phone onto that wall, it would have been a black shape from your shadow, I just thought to myself, okay, there's something there. I don't know if they want to review it, but it looks kind of promising to me. So, if you
don't mind me asking, Tom, was it when we were, because I did go back to it, was it when we were walking up the staircase?
If I remember correctly, I believe so.
Okay. I can tell you because when I went back to the time, I believe I saw what you were talking about. If it is, I mean, it's something that we'll have to look at because paranormal-wise, I can tell you there was, from what we saw, we still have to go back again. There was nothing there. She does have several, dolls and taller. She has all these different types of decorations that is kind of there for also entertainment aspects too. Like we could go around, it'll like freak you out because you're in the dark and you think you see something, but it's actually just a decoration she put. That's all I saw
for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. Because they also do a lot of filming there too, so they do. But we did go back. We're still going to go back. We still have to review all that stuff again. But what did you think of the lives from what you saw?
Well, considering the fact that we lost the connection a few times, but what are you going to do with that? It's a bad connection everywhere you go sometimes. But to be honest, I was very impressed by it. I thought to myself, why can't I be there? That's all I could think of the whole time. I was like, I really wanted to go to the darn thing, and the fact that I couldn't, and the fact that Victoria and I couldn't go kind of bummed me out. But, we're definitely we'll definitely be able to go on one eventually. With work and everything the way it is, we'll just have to figure out how that's going to happen. But I'm honestly, from every minute I was watching, I was like, why can't we be there for this? Because it's, like you said, it's the most haunted location in all of New York State. And what better place to go to for an investigation than Rolling Hills Asylum? I mean, the amount of stuff that you've already said that we've caught, which, as I've said before, I cannot wait to hear everything and to look at everything, because I'll tell you what, we saw the picture of the morgue that you posted on Instagram, and I can say this much, Victoria saw it and she freaked out. She's like, oh my God, what the heck is that thing? So
yeah,
it was.
You're talking about the suit, right?
Yes. She the moment she saw that in red and black, she's like, what is that thing? And I said, honey, that's the stuff they found. She's like, oh dear God. That's all she could say.
Well, that suit, I mean, I just like to take a picture of the morgue because that was like Jeremy and I's one of our favorite places to go in there at Rolling Hills. And that suit, they have it up there for a specific reason. The suit actually, if you're standing in there, it starts turning on its own.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about that on the live video too.
And we tried to record it, but the areas that we went to, like the morgue, once you get to a certain part of the morgue, the connection just drops.
Right.
So, I mean, we tried our best with that.
No, you know what? It is what it is. I mean, phone signals are what they are. Sometimes there's certain places signals won't go, and you get back up to the point where it does, and then the video comes back on again. It's like, okay, well, we know it was either a thing from an entity trying to do something, or it was just a bad signal. It's either one. But either way, I mean, the stuff that you guys did catch and the stuff that you guys did film was absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, I am so looking forward to seeing and to reviewing everything that we've caught, because it's just that incredible. So
definitely is. Did you have any questions about any of the stuff that you saw or any of the experiences, or?
Not right now. I mean, like you said, you guys still have to do some more reviewing and everything, so I'm just going to let you guys do that so that we can have everything just come into place and have the puzzle just assemble itself, so to speak.
Definitely. I mean, and like I posted up on Facebook, well, actually, it has not been. I don't think it's been posted in the main page. I do know I posted in the events page. You
posted. You did at 5 o'clock. You did post something on the paranormal puzzle thing. I did see that on my phone.
No, there's another post that basically saying that on Tuesday, I'm okay. going to be revealing everything to all those who went to the event. So I mean, obviously, I want to give everybody who went to the event a chance to see what they ended up catching, and then from there, I'm going to show everyone. I know Sharon from Rolling Hills is interested in seeing it too. But, well, thank you so much for the call, Tom.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, Tom. Yep, take care.
All right, bye-bye.
And that was Tom, another member for UNI Research. Again, if anyone wants to call in, any questions, anything they want to share, number is 646-668-8941. Again, 646-668-8941. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more about Rolling Hills Asylum. Stay tuned. And we are back with Your Paranormal Puzzle Radio on Intercomm Radio Network, only on Blog Talk Radio. Time is 5:45 p.m., May 26, 2018. I'm your host, John Griffin II, and co-hosting with me is the head of science for UNI Research, Jeremy Griffin. And we are currently discussing the experiences or findings of Rolling Hills Asylum. Now, what I can tell you, as I brought up, is that we're trying to collect everything first and determine what's good, what's no good, and then present it to everybody who was a part of this event. After that, we will be displaying it for the rest of the public to see. And that will include our next radio show this coming week. This next Saturday, we intend on playing some of the EVPs over the air so that you guys can hear some of the stuff that we caught there. And some of the stuff's just
basically pretty downright crazy seeming. It's like just what some of the things we got. Yeah,
I mean, and some how a lot of the EVPs, some of them, like especially down in the kitchen, they were in sequence. Like it just was like an entire sequence of events all played out for us.
Pretty much, yeah. And other times it's, we just got like, instead of like one or two word, answers or just sounds, it's like we got what appear to be entire sentences, in response to things. So definitely lots and lots of stuff to go through, and lots to, just a lot to hear, a lot to see.
So I kind of want to go through our experiences that we had. And again, if anybody has any questions for us in regards to Rolling Hills, give us a call at 646-668-8941. Again, 646-668-8941. So we started out in the basement for our main portion of the investigation. Everybody else pretty much went with Reggie, except for Barb. Barb, at the last minute, decided to change her mind, and she came down with us.
Mm-hmm.
Which, great. I mean, she had quite the experience. We went into the morgue, and the crazy part about it is, and I kind of want to talk further about this.
The suit in general? Or?
No, not the suit. What happened afterwards. Barb was like, what's behind that door? And this is the door that's all the way in the back of the morgue, okay? We go back there, and we're like, you know what? I want to check with Sharon first before we open this door. Because I don't know if she has this closed for a reason. I mean, you go around Rolling Hills Asylum, the doors are pretty much all open.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, you know what? I don't want to go in there and she'll be like, well, what the heck were you doing in there? So we decided to walk away from there. And the next thing that happens is we're walking out of the morgue. We literally hear just 2 knocks come from that door. And I'm just like, okay, well, come back in there. And, I mean, we know that sound travels really well in there, but I just find it interesting that, this wasn't the first time we had it that night either. We had several of them from that door.
Oh, yeah. A lot earlier, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, why that door? I know you were looking at a lot of material, but I didn't think about it at the time. I was just thinking about the fact that, wow, that was loud, and it came from that door that, Barb wanted to check on. Did you notice anything about that specifically that goes along with what you were talking about with the kitchen and the tiles? And...
I mean, with that one, the door to me, aside from just being in the room it was in, I didn't necessarily notice anything per se. Any sound at all that was in that room or that would, be like around that room, like just echoed really well in there. So, I'll have to go back and look at that specifically and look at the door because, it was, it definitely wasn't like just like a typical door, just like a plain old household door. So, it definitely did seem more like something like almost like a cooler door or something along those lines. It seemed like, or had like glasses on it or something, I believe, if I recall correctly.
Well, I know the door, it had a black, if I'm not mistaken, a black doorknob, and then I noticed, or was it black doorknob? I know it had black tape. It had black tape covering where the latch would be. You do have a picture of, that's the other way. At the same time, we're kind of looking at the photos that we do have for Rolling Hills Asylum. And believe me, we're going to be definitely posting some of this stuff as, just get over. I can't get over this place. So, yeah, it's tough to say. Oh, that looked like. So, while he's searching through that, we did have other experiences that happened. We walked out of the morgue, and there we go. Oh, you know what? No, it's not a black doorknob. So it's the black tape around the latch or the latch area, and that's like,
Yeah, because I know some people mentioned it looked like I know some people said that it was like a wooden door, but I didn't touch it personally, but it looks more like it's made of like the same material as the wall, which appears to be like almost like a kind of like being that it is partially below ground.
Well, she did say most of the building is concrete.
Yeah, which and obviously the whole door would be concrete. That'd be pretty heavy, but I think it looks less wooden and more like it might have been like, especially for being a morgue, probably like a metal or something, which would definitely obviously have sounds would definitely reverberate through that more so. So obviously something banging against metal makes a lot more louder and more distinct the sound than banging on like a wooden door would, for instance. So
yeah,
along with just that room in general, with the tile it had in there, just like basically looking at the picture now, kind of like every material that was in there, from just objects in there to the floor to the walls to the door itself, it's like everything was just like all like metal or tile, seemingly. So there's just lots of potential for just like sound to easily travel and reverberate and bounce around a lot easier than some other areas where sound would just be absorbed by nearby objects that aren't very prone to reflecting sound.
Yeah, and then so we left. Okay, so we leave the morgue, right? the next area we head down to is the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go into the kitchen, and we start hearing a noise coming from what looked like one of the coolers, or it sounded like it was coming from one of the 3 coolers in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we go there, we're just walking through, and we're not seeing anything, but it's like as if it was, this noise would come from that general vicinity. And now, the photo, again, is under review, but it's one that is being considered for evidence. There was a picture that Jeremy took of one of the coolers where the noise was coming from, around that general vicinity. And we have audio accompanying it as well. There's some guy, like you said, it looked like it was like a younger guy, and he's like, describe what you saw.
I mean, personally, well, yeah, when we were in there in general, obviously, as you said, we saw nothing. We had been asking basically, the typical questions like, hello, is anyone there? What do you do here? Since we were in the kitchen, might be workers in there, etc. And yeah, when I got the pictures, when we heard a bang, like on the other side of the kitchen, it kind of like makes like a U shape around like a little bend, and the cooler's on the other side. And there was a bang over there when we asked, like, basically, again, kind of like, is anyone there? And we didn't see anything in person, but looking at the picture, to me, what I see personally is basically in the corner of like I think like the second cooler down, a hunched over figure kind of like huddled up in the corner, more or less with like its hands on its head, kind of like almost kind of like in like a scared, like I hope they don't see me, go away kind of position, basically just like looking terrified.
Sorry, we were just slightly muted for a second. So you had so you were talking about that we were.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, we had like going past down that area. Yeah, when we were looking back at the photos, in the corner, it looked like, to me, what I saw personally in the photo is basically just like a hunched over figure. I mean, I jokingly, kind of jokingly compare it to like Gollum from like Lord of the Rings almost, where it's kind of like in that kind of position where it's like basically hunched over, kind of like that character is, and just looks like it's basically like terrified and just like trying to hide. It's kind of like in the cooler, hunched over in a corner, kind of basically trying to hide from anyone that might be looking around for it. So I mean, that's one of the times I can say it seems like a spirit was definitely more afraid of us or anyone or other people than was trying to like mess with people. And I'd say just on kind of like an additional note, I think that's the first time I've actually seen like a spirit, like potentially, granted that it is, but assuming it is actually one that we caught in that photo, a spirit actually like looking scared, like looking like it's trying to hide, like that's definitely something I haven't really seen much of, at least personally.
No, same here. I've never seen anything like that myself. Again, that photo is still under review, and I can tell you that within the next couple of minutes, we're going to go on a break, and during that break, I'm going to try to get the notes out that we have of some of the EVPs that we did catch. Again, we're not going to play them right now. These are allegedly EVPs. We have not officially confirmed them, but we want people to have a general idea of what we have caught so far, including during this sequence of events that occurred in the kitchen, where we ended up catching that allegedly that person that was hiding and looked like they were just like cowering in a corner. We have EVPs that make sense, and the thing is that Jeremy showed me the photo first. We hadn't even reviewed any of the audio yet, and then all of a sudden, I go back to the audio, and that area where we're catching audio that makes sense. It makes sense with the sequence and, for what we saw on there. But we're just going to go on a very brief break. When we come back, we're going to discuss more about Rolling Hills Asylum. Stay tuned. And we are back with your Paranormal Puzzle Radio on Intercomm Radio Network, only on Blog Talk Radio, with your host, myself, John Griffin II, and co-hosting with me is the head of Science for You and I Research, Jeremy Griffin. Time now is 6:03 p.m. It is May 26, 2018. So we brought up the sequence of events going on in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And here's some of the audio that we have called into question right now of it potentially being disembodied voices. And you'll see the sequence, you'll see the sequence of events for those who are listening. So we're hearing banging coming from a back area. And then we get a male voice saying, "Get away from me." And then it sounds like there's footsteps that are walking towards them. It sounds like they're in heels. Then we hear either "get" or "let me out." Then we hear heavy breathing. We can't tell what this person is saying, but it sounds like an older male who is just breathing heavily and then saying something. Later on, someone says something about is calling out for help. We don't know exactly what the words are, but we do hear help within there. Now here is a very interesting one. And this one, without actually saying the full word, "Get the F off me." Another one saying, "Please help." And then as we're walking over to the cooler, we hear, "Get back." And then later on, we hear I believe it was a female that was calling out twice, "Jacob." And then she said it again about 10 seconds later, she calls out "Jacob" again. So that was the basic sequence of events for the kitchen. We have more audio that came from the kitchen, but the ones that pertain to, that would go along with those photos and the sound that we were hearing. But now, again, these are not final. This is what we believe we are hearing within this, and we believe that they are currently EVPs. But as our team always does, once we've gone through all this, we go back again to these specific times of when these events occur to verify that this is what we believe it is, and come to an official conclusion on it.
Personally, I mean, again, without having gone back and looked at it again and, like, double, triple verifying it, like that sort of deal, I mean, there was undoubtedly, like, lots and lots of activity in there, in that kitchen area. Like, even if everything on that list, wasn't necessarily, if we go back and find, we just misheard, it's like some of it, there was way too much there's way too much for basically all of it to be possibly debunked. Like, there was definitely stuff happening in there. And I mean, again, like in a personal first, at least, I mean, I don't know if you caught things in the years I wasn't part of the team, but I've never like caught or even really seen from any other team really like a whole entire sequence over a good probably 5-10 minutes of just like an ongoing progression of events, like call on EVP, and then finding pictures that more or less potentially at least match up with it. So I mean, it's pretty, at least to me, unprecedented, and yeah, I mean, that was the kitchen was also one of the areas where I pointed out to John when we were walking along that had the same kind of tile that like the morgue had as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it was a very, very high, like more like vaulted ceiling, open space, and so also had very good like acoustic properties.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore things, along with again being below or ground level or basement level. So cooler, things like that, all contributing to his theory as it stands, and then with my additions to it, and having that whole progression of events on video or on EVP and the pictures. Yeah, it's absolutely almost mind-boggling, but in the sense of just holy cow, like did we really catch all this and catch this entire series that all kind of it's not just random words, like all of this makes sense. It's almost like listening to a little story.
Yeah. Well, and there was an interesting EVP on a side note, and it came from the kitchen too, where you and I were like, do you want us here? Do you want us to leave? And we got an intelligent response saying, hey, you came in, or excuse me, hey, you came in.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're already here.
It was pretty like on having listened to it, it was almost rather sarcastic sounding, or like dry sarcasm. It was like, well, you came in, so it's like basically, yeah, you're already here, so well, it's definitely like it's not just like emotionless voices. It's like they have, you can tell that the thing, the spirit talking, if it is what we call it, if the person that's responding appropriately, it has emotions and feelings and sarcasm, and well, it basically will call you out for saying something stupid, like asking, can we come in when we're already in?
They really did have emotion. There was some really creepy stuff too, and just to talk about the morgue. We kept on getting a male and a female, but there was, and oh yeah, we have to talk about the sarcastic thing. So I'll get to that in a moment, but the first thing we get within a minute of being in the morgue is, come down here, boy. And it was just like, we were standing halfway in the morgue, and it was like, oh my goodness. And it was coming from that door. It was coming from that area with the door.
I mean, there is also, you guys will see later in the photos, presumably, that in the middle of the room is, where they'd laid that. There's a table where they'd laid the bodies,
mm-hmm.
and, they would basically, slice them open, or rather, like the table is slightly slanted, and they put the bodies there, and that's where they drain the blood from.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's almost like whoever's in there was kind of like, hey, come down here, sit on this table,
Yeah.
Jokingly or otherwise, it could have just been, them messing with us, because some of the spirits in there, they seem to have a sense of humor, however twisted or it may have been in some cases.
Well, see, and I noticed a lot of people, because I know, working in a hospital, I know, the people who work in the morgue, and they have very interesting sense of humor. So it seems like it's a trend.
Yeah.
You have to have that sense of humor. But now here's one that's fun. This happened in the morgue. I kept on telling Barb, don't whisper. And then there was one point where it sounded like I was whispering, like my voice was lower than it normally is. And we got an EVP of someone responding back to me going, don't whisper. I was like, and we were trying to figure out who were they talking to, and then we go back to the audio of what happened just before then, and you hear me just, I forgot what I said, but I basically said it was like a one-word answer, and it was lower than normal. and there was actually an entity that responded back telling me, don't whisper. So, got a good little imp smack right there from that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we got the spirits in there, surprisingly, like, a lot of them were very witty.
Yeah,
very. Basically, you go into some of these places and you think, you're just gonna hear random things. It's like, no, you say stuff, and well, in this case, there's so many spirits there that they'll say things right back, and they have fun with you. Like, it's not you just looking for them; they're having fun with you too.
Yeah, they were something else. We continued after the kitchen. We went down towards the dining area, and then we went to the chapel. Now, Barb, I know, would love this. We get to the chapel. We were sitting in the dining area, and we heard a crash come from the back of the chapel. So we go in there, right? And, we go to investigate that, and one of the EVPs that we caught, Barb had said something too long, but at least a while before this one came across. There was someone who actually said, "Bless you." I'm wondering if they were talking to Barb. I mean, Barb is, she was very respectful, like super respectful being in the chapel, understandably.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting to hear "bless you." It sounded like it was going towards her. Noticed what made that sound, or what we believe made the sound, based off the call it debunking process, whatever you want. There was a chair all the way in the back, a wooden chair, and it's loose, but you have to pick it up, and if you drop it, it makes the banging sound that we heard from out in the dining area.
Yeah, which it basically sounded like someone either dropping that, or it also, like the other chairs, there are ones next to it that you couldn't pick up, regardless if someone sat down on it, it would still kind of just like pop down into it. It would still make that kind of same bang. So it was a pretty dead ringer, like sounding dead ringer for the sound that we heard through the wall.
Yeah.
So it was pretty awesome. Again, finding something that sometimes you go around a room and hear a sound, and you can't figure out what it was, and so again, like it seems like every single time that we heard something, we were able to be like, oh hey, here's the source, like here's like a bang, and we could tell what bangs or eventually, like, and all that. So again, the place was absolutely amazing in that regard. That just like everything that happened, like we could find like a match for what it was, or who it was.
Mm-hmm. And then we head back out. There were some other things, like we're not giving away all the EVPs and all that type of stuff. But we walk out of the chapel and we started heading down back towards the kitchen. And as we're walking by the kitchen, there's a person that says, "Give me what's left," like as if they're like talking about leftover food.
Yeah.
So from there we go. We head upstairs to. Because I know the other group, Reggie's group, was down, I believe on the first floor, either first or second. I know they were trying to find Roy's room.
They were trying to find Roy's, but I think they actually went up to the second floor without thinking it was the first floor. So while we were doing that simultaneously, while we were down in the chapel area, they were on the second floor, I think.
Yeah, and I know. Well, I think they had changed it. Oh no,
because they were in the procedure room and stuff.
Yeah.
At that time, at least.
We went to, I think our next stop, we went towards the infirmary. We went down because I know it was a lot more empty rooms and really a lot of really old material. The walls were, there was a lot of, and then we hit the infirmary, and I know we got to talk about this photo that we got. That, again, still under review, but if it's legitimate, holy crap. Talk about being creepy. And again, if anybody wants to call in, 646-668-8941, 646-668-8941. There was this photo when we were in the infirmary. Barb was standing by the entrance of the infirmary, and then there was something that looked like it was just standing behind her, but it was looking at you. I mean, it looked like, I don't know, a female, or we're actually looking at the photos. It's not that one. Oh, no, the one that had the really, that one, yeah.
There's several, so it's like you got
that one is the one that's just glaring at you. I mean, your thoughts on it, though? You saw that and you were just like...
I mean, personally, it's like... it's funny because, I mean, I've looked at these photos so many times at this point, and every time I look at them, I see, you know, what seems like more stuff. But, yeah, this one's from the infirmary. I mean, I don't know if you want to go into the history of what apparently happened in there or not, like explaining like why there might be some of these spirits that are kind of like not pleased looking.
Well, the most we could say is, I mean, there was without like, because Sharon, I know she's big on the history, and I don't want to say something wrong, and you know, Sharon end up, you know, going to, you know, this wasn't true. They did shock therapy. And there were possibly, we're looking at the photo right now, and it's just so darn clear. Holy crap. Like, I can't even, jeez. And the eyes, just the eyes of the person, it's looking at Jeremy. It's looking at Jeremy. It's looking at you. Like,
yeah. It looks like, I'm pretty sure it's the same one that's in that first photo, too. It's like that's the,
looks like a different height, though.
Well, it looks like, because if you, the one that you point out, like, you can see that it has that same kind of, like, cover.
Mask. Yeah.
Maybe it was walking past and, like, kind of heard, like, me snap a photo, and then you go over to the next picture, or to, like, 2 pictures over, at a different angle, and then it's kind of, like, you know, staring me down, being like, you know, okay, you took a picture of me, you know.
It looks like it's wearing, like, hospital-type stuff, but it's almost like she's walking in and she's looking at you like, you know, what the frick are you doing here? Like, she just, the anger in those eyes is just, and wait until you guys see the picture. I mean, right now, like I said, it's still under review. This is one of the ones that I'm just tempted to just say, just put it in evidence because it's so darn good. But we have to follow the procedures that we have laid out for the team. It's a disturbing photo. It really is. We're going to take another quick break. More about Rolling Hills. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure you want to listen to music, so listen to this stuff. And we are back with your Paranormal Puzzle Radio on Intercomm Radio Network, only on Blog Talk Radio. It's 6:23 p.m. on May 26, 2018. I'm your host, John Griffin II, and co-hosting with me is my brother Jeremy, who is the head of the science branch for UNI Research. And, you know, we're still working on the review of the Rolling Hills Asylum. Let me tell you guys, I can't say this enough. If you did not go with us this time to Rolling Hills Asylum, book with us. Get ready to go with us. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. We are setting up another trip to Rolling Hills. There is just no way. There's no way we cannot go back here. After going here, I don't know if there's another place. Wow, okay. And we're reviewing more photos, and it looks like there's a person that's, one of the photos looks like they're staring out at me. Yeah, in the same photo as that lady. Wow, okay. I'm going to get distracted, and all you're going to hear me is just going wow, wow, wow throughout this entire show. This is what this has been like, I mean, we've done so many investigations. I've gone to so many different places. I cannot stress enough just how amazing this place is. So we continuing on. I mean, and we're only speaking from what Jeremy and I have done. I mean, I can't speak for the other group with Reggie. But we were going up. We went upstairs. We did the infirmary. We got some audio here. We went up to. We made our way up to the administrative area, where Emma's room is. Emma, you have to be super proper with her. You go in. When you get up to her door for her room, especially if you're a guy, you knock on the door, introduce yourself, and then go in. Now, we weren't told this prior, and when we went in, you know, we thought we were being polite. Oh, thank you. You know, it's so great to be able to talk to you. You know, my name is John. Blah 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 blah. We didn't knock on the door. Well, Jeremy and I started to feel pressure in our heads. It was just like as if someone was just like hitting pressure points. And afterwards, we brought it up when we were downstairs at what's called the green room. They have a gift shop there where you can purchase equipment, shirts, and all these different things. And Sharon, she makes tea, and before I even go further, I just want to bring up also about Sharon's dedication. You know, Sharon gave up a luxurious life for the sake of preserving Rolling Hills Asylum. She gave up a lot. And I can tell you that UNI Research is going to do everything in its power to assist her in her efforts. And, you know, we're not going to go into her story when, you know, she usually gives the basics of what her story is when we get there. But let me tell you something. Full respect to her. And if it wasn't for her, Rolling Hills Asylum, the ability to be able to go in there and do these investigations may not even exist. Our thanks to Sharon for, you know, making so many sacrifices and allowing investigators and paranormal researchers to have the opportunity to do research at the most haunted place in New York.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I thank her too because without her, I mean, as I said, as soon as you walk in there, you already experience things, and it's a place to definitely, you know, if that place was knocked down or whatever, if she hadn't saved it, it would have been a sad day, basically. So it's good that she did what she did.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. The paranormal field should be in her debt at this point. Because, I mean, after going in there, I understand personally why she wants to save it. And for that, we're truly, truly grateful. And I've already told her we'll be back. This was not a one-time trip. I mean, in the past, I thought it was a one-time trip. You can't do Rolling Hills one time and say you're done with the place. There's just no way. The place is too big. We didn't even travel to several of the places in Rolling Hills. There were some places we did miss. So much research potential there. So anyway, we move on. And we weren't really getting too much up on the administrative level. I mean, we heard noises. We noticed. We thought we heard a guy. Sounded like a male, based off of the footsteps coming down the hallway towards Emma's room. And I know Reggie when he said, he was like, he did not like me, and, you know, he was like, oh, I'm, you know, basically he said he was told to leave, and he was like, okay, I will leave, to leave the fourth floor. So he did, the administrative area. So he did. Of course, we took our breaks, you know, and then when trust me, I was rearing to go again, and, you know, Jeremy and I, we were the first people running out the door. to go back to the investigation area, because basically the green room is the
kind of like the safe house. It's like you walk in there to take a break, have a breather. There's lights on. You can relax and not have to worry about people asking you to come over and sit over on the morgue table.
Yeah. It's a really nice environment. And let me add to what Sharon does. Sharon, she has volunteers, but when we were there, she was the only person. She lets you in, she'll let you out, and she is the only one at that time that's she's staying awake. And she also has to work on things for Rolling Hills Asylum during the day. There are times that she only gets a few hours of sleep a day. And this is depending on if paranormal teams have booked to stay during the night, because she basically, for the most part, almost every day is available for anybody to sign up and go. And that doesn't count doing tours. When people sign up to do tours, and she has to bring them around, and then she has to stay up during the night to allow people to do their investigation. She can't fall asleep. She owns this property. She is responsible for everything that happens there.
Yeah, I think she said she was going to be awake for like at least 21 hours after we were all wrapped up. She would have been up for at least 24 hours, assuming she goes to sleep immediately. So, yeah, she's a trooper.
Yeah, she is. And I'm known for not getting a lot of sleep, because once I hit paranormal research and stuff, I'm just going and going and going and going and going. And then my brain just continues to go. It's like a 24-hour computer when I'm asleep. I'm still thinking. And so there are nights that I'm not even getting sleep too. So, I honestly think she's got me beat in this when it comes down to sleep. But, I understand what she's going through. And if you ever have the opportunity to hear her story at Rolling Hills, it's hard not to feel for her. I know people say it's her choice to have done everything that she's done. From a paranormal researcher standpoint, it's a godsend. So what else? What else have we really gone? We talked so much about the basement. We talked a little bit about the other floors.
I'm talking scratching it. That was just like the first hour or two.
Yeah.
Like what we just talked about.
And this is what's making it so difficult. Like, it seems like we haven't discussed much, but I know for some we've discussed a lot, but for us we haven't discussed much because there's so much that we're trying to remember because so much happened. Again, 646-668-8941 if you want to call in. Again, 646-668-8941. What else did we? Oh, you know what we have to talk about? Jack.
Which one?
Not the tunnel. Not the tunnel. The one. The one in the last thing that we did for the night. The creepiest thing, guys, you're gonna love this story. So we go to, and you go all the way down this one hallway, and there's light that shines in from the windows. And there's these two doors that leads into the room with those big windows. Well, there's a person that stays in there named Jack. And there's these two small windows for the doors, right? And then what you end up seeing, what you have to do is you go and you sit at the end of the hall and you turn out all the lights. You turn off your flashlights and everything, and you just watch the doors. And you see somebody walking back and forth and somebody looking through the window. Now, of course, I'm like, to me at the time, I'm just like, oh, there's no way this happens as much as people say it does. Come on. Boy, was I wrong. We had the lights off, and the other person I was with us, Bauer, she's just like, wait, just wait, just watch. And then sure enough, we started seeing like a shadow figure. And how you knew what was going on is because you had the light, and the light would just darken as if something was covered or was blocking that light. more specifically, the right window of that door. Because they had the two doors, it was basically push doors. And each one had a window. You saw in the right window somebody looking through the window. And at one point I go, "Hey, Jack," literally, the right window covers. A few seconds after I call out Jack's name. And I was just like, I'm sitting there like, getting goosebumps. I'm going, this is so freaking cool. You know? I don't know, what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, that was definitely crazy too, because that one, again, like I had more or less the same exact, feelings that you had. Like, it was the end of the night and they were saying, it's like, oh yeah, go to the, tuberculosis ward, and go outside and sit there and, turn off the lights, and yeah, they'll give it a minute and it'll happen. And, not that I'm not obviously open to ideas, got to be open to everything, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But, as you said, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, like, guaranteed to happen within like a minute or two, like, we'll see, I guess, okay. And, well, you get proven wrong pretty fast if you decide to think like that with that one, because, I guess Jack is pretty a restless one.
Very restless.
Yeah, I mean, it was, being in the pitch black, that's especially fun, in this place of all places, being in the pitch black. Yeah, it's like you see just the faintest bit of light. You see, if you're looking away from the door, you see just the light get blocked occasionally. And, obviously your eyes adjust a little bit, the longer you're in the dark, so you can pick up light, the faintest of light, but like that much better, because your eyes are strained to see anything you can. But, it's, so when that one window gets blocked out completely and, like, all the light from it practically is gone, well, that's very apparent once your pupils adjust for the light. So it's like, that thing is blocked, and it's just like, okay. It's like, there's definitely, there's no other way to get to that area besides going through those doors. It's like, none of the team members went on the other side and, like, played a prank and were, like, standing there blocking the light. It's like,
Nope.
they were all downstairs, in the green room at that point, and they were wrapped up, and yeah, that was something, to say the least. Yeah, no further comment.
And I decided to brave it a little bit further, and I was like, you know what? I want to go up, and I get up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to walk towards that door. He seems to come to the right side a lot. Let me go to that side. So I get up, I walk towards the door, and I turn off my light, and I'm standing next to that door. And I'm like, "Hey, Jack, you there?" And all of a sudden, the window covers, and I just see like a silhouette staring like at me through the freaking window. Like, I'm just like, "Hey, Jack, how you doing?" Like, it's like, I love this stuff. Like, it doesn't really, granted, if I was by myself, it would be more freaky. But, like, I thought this was the coolest thing ever. One of the coolest things I've ever seen. And again, like I said, we're going back there. There's more that we want to do. Believe me. But we're going to go on a quick break. When we come back. Just a little bit more on Rolling Hills Asylum, and then just a few announcements that we want to make, and we will be closing out for the day. Stay tuned. And we are back with your Paranormal Puzzle Radio on Intercomm Radio Network, only featured on Blog Talk Radio. It is May 26, 2018, 6:46 p.m. I'm your host, John Griffin II, and co-hosting with me is my brother, Jeremy Griffin. We have been talking about Rolling Hills Asylum. Too much to talk about to fit in one episode. I mean, it feels like we haven't really discussed much, but in actuality, there's been a lot that went on, and we haven't even covered the second group that was with us during this, which part of you and I researched Reggie, which again he wasn't able to make it for this one. Still working on it. Hopefully we'll have us here for the next one. And the next one we're looking to actually feature some of the stuff that went on, like the actual audio that went with a lot of this, and I don't think you guys will be disappointed in the least. We are going to have details soon on our second trip to Rolling Hills Asylum. Yes, we are looking to do this year, hopefully in the later part of summer. We're working on it, but we do have our next event coming up, the Your Paranormal Trip, Your Paranormal Experience, which is a weekend trip from June 22nd into the morning of June 24th. The first day, June 22nd into the 23rd, we will be at the Hinsdale House. And then from the 23rd into the 24th, we will be at Wildwood Sanitarium. Phenomenal places. If you haven't already, get to our Paranormal Puzzle Facebook page. Sign up to go. It's you could either do one or the other, or you could do the entire experience. Take a look at what we have to offer. The price is actually very decent for each one. Or you could do the entire, like I said, the entire experience. It is going to be a great weekend. All of us together, nothing but paranormal. And we're going to go into greater detail. I know this show, typically we cover a lot of science when it comes down to paranormal. This time we were more storytelling in this one. Next week, though, we switch gears. What are we going to do when we go back to Rolling Hills Asylum next time? What did we discover on a scientific level that was revealing to us during this specific investigation? And then, did we officially catch? What conclusions did we come to? Jeremy, any final thoughts on this entire experience? And we didn't even cover everything. I mean, we barely covered everything.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we only covered, ultimately, the first, 2 hours or so, barring talking about Jack, which is the last, cutting to the very end of the night, it's 5 hours later. But, it was definitely, a crazy experience. It's one of those things that, I would say, even the most hardened person, the type of person who, says, oh, yeah, none of this exists, this is all fake, you're all making it up, anything like that. It's you can go in there thinking that, and it's impossible to, as I said, I think at the beginning of the show, it's seemingly impossible to not experience something. I was more often experiencing something happening, going on around me, than not having something happening. So if there's any doubters on that one, if you don't believe in any of this stuff, try going to Rolling Hills Asylum, and might not make you totally believe if you're a complete and utter skeptic, but you'll definitely come across a lot of things that'll make you question a lot of things. So definitely worth it.
And the kicker to this is that this isn't even the most haunted place in the world. According to the display that they had outside, this is the number one most haunted place. Well, I don't believe this part's there, if I'm not mistaken. It's number one most haunted place in New York, second most haunted place in the United States, in the entire world. This makes me wonder, what the frick is the first one? I mean, if this was that crazy, I want to know what number one is. Number 4 4 in the entire world. What the heck is number 1 like?
I mean, that's a very good question. I'd like to know that too. And also even being like, a little bit like, nitpicky for a second. It's like, well, who determines what's the most haunted? It's like, well, rolling hills, at a certain time of the year under certain conditions, using your theory, it could be more haunted than the quote unquote most haunted place during other times of the year, because if certain theories are hold true like universally, then rolling hills could be the most active place at one time of the year, or and another place is more active another time of the year. So it could be subjective in a sense. What place is most haunted? It could be what place is most haunted and when.
That's true. Good point. And I mean, the other thing is, it did say on the sign out there as to who made, according to such and such, this is the fourth most haunted or something like that. I should have. I wonder if somebody took a picture of that. One of the people who went with us. I'm going to have to ask that, because I would like to look up
who's the person that really people that decide.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, this is the first one. This is the second one.
But then I also kind of want to base it off of, well, what are the determining factors?
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, they talk about like, oh, okay, well, there were, thousands of people that died here, and or it's like this many encounters, or this many supposed spirits that are running to on average. That or that's the size of the premises and the history there. It's like there's so many factors that it's definitely something to look into as to who decides it, or if it's just kind of like it's for strange comparisons, like how every movie that comes out ever is the number 1 movie in America.
Yeah,
it's kind of like every place is the most haunted place according to them.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So basically, like I said, we're going back to Rolling Hills Asylum, June 22nd to June 20. The morning of June 24th. We have 2 haunted locations that we're going to. Please go onto our Paranormal Puzzle Facebook page and join in on the fun. A lot to explore. We also have Lizzie Borden's Bed and Breakfast coming in October. We will also announce when we're going back to Rolling Hills Asylum. The next episode coming up, barring any new things that may come up, like prophecy-wise, or any new research that may have just come up during between now and next Saturday. Next week, we're really going to just talk about the scientific portion of what happened at Rolling Hills Asylum, as well as play several pieces of audio for everybody, as well as more stories to go along with it. It is going to be one exciting show. We talked about some things on this show. The next show we can actually display it, as we'll be ready to display it. Right now, like I said, we're still under the review process. And review takes time. But with that said, all of you who listened in and called in, thank you. Thank you to Kathy and Tom for your calls and tuning in. Thank you to my co-host, Jeremy. And get ready, next show. Just wait until you hear the stuff that we have. It's going to be phenomenal. Thank you to all the listeners who tuned in, and the listeners who will be listening after to the archive version of the show. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.